Welcome back to the Battery Podcast. I'm Jack.
And I'm Casey.
No Aiden tonight. Unfortunately, he is out there bettering the youth of America, coaching this great game of lacrosse. So, two of us are holding down the fort tonight. Luckily, we are joined by a couple of great guests from the Snake Pit in advance of the Cannons game against the Whipsnakes this weekend, Friday night, 6 p.m. But Casey, anything you want to say first?
I'm looking forward to us getting revenge on them. Um,
Absolutely.
from from last year. Last year's loss was really tough. But I'm really excited to see honestly what both teams end up looking like this weekend with the rookies and roster changes that have happened in the offseason and now a couple weeks into it. um, I think it's going to be a lot of fun cheering on the Cannons against Maryland. um, yeah, and it's always great to catch up with Micah and Matt too.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's funny. Like I almost have no memory of the Cannons game against the Whips in Maryland last year. Like that, I mean, it was a good game, but it's just the the game against them at Harvard to end the season, knock us out, just is was such a brutal way to end homecoming, to end the
Yeah.
season. That game is just lodged in my
Hmm.
memory. And then it's like I completely forget, hey, like we did actually beat the Whips in Maryland last year. Like it wasn't all bad, but it's just that's all I think about. And so
Yeah.
definitely would love to erase that taste from my mouth, erase that memory from
Hmm.
my brain, and remind myself, hey, that maybe good things happen maybe in Maryland when the Cannons play the Whips. But yeah, definitely will be interesting to see. As much as I don't like Joey Spallina, think that's well documented.
You don't say.
It is pretty exciting to see him come to the league, and I hope Jack Keelty or whoever
Lights him up.
pulls that matchup just absolutely lays him out. Although I will say it's I don't know if you saw it in our DMs, but so did you see that Boston Wannon's did you see his story the other day about Joey Spallina?
I don't think I did.
So for those that haven't seen it, including you, Casey, he just posted something on his story, like when the PLL announced that Joey Spallina had signed his entry level contract. He Boston went and said something about like, "Hey Joey, like if you want to take this weekend off, like that's okay. Like your college season just ended, so maybe rest a little bit and don't play this weekend. So just something funny like that. And but he tagged Joey in the story, and so I
Oh.
on our account, I
Hmm.
slid up on Boston Wayne's story and was just like, totally agree with this take. And he responded saying that with a screenshot that Joey had actually responded
Oh.
to his story. And he just reacted to it with like a crying laughing emoji. He didn't say anything else, but just that I'm not gonna lie, that little bit did actually make me think like, all right, maybe he's not that bad a guy. Like that's
Oh.
kind of cool. Like that's kind of cool that he
Yeah.
acknowledged and was good natured about it. So he still is a Maryland Whipsnake. So like I mean I don't think
Yeah.
I can like anyone on
No.
Maryland, but like
Mm-mm.
so it's I don't need to give him a chance really
No.
because he fully is the enemy. But like
Hmm. Yeah,
no,
absolutely not.
but no hard feelings, Joey. Like I can now say that maybe you're not that bad, but you're a Syracuse guy and now you're a whip snake. So like I can't root for you like in anything
No
ever
matter what.
for the rest of your life unless God forbid he comes to the cannons, then I'll love you. But as of right now, like sorry, Joey, you're definitely enemy number one on Friday night. But so
I'm
anywho's
I am excited to see him get out. I mean, I think it's pretty like crazy and awesome at the same time that he literally just got done playing this like a few days ago. And
yeah,
he was saying like right after the game was over in an interview, he was saying something about how, he's just happy that he gets to go still play this coming weekend.
yeah,
Um and yeah, so that's pretty crazy. Like what's the saying, like no rest for the wicked or something like that.
no
um
rest for the weary.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think he seems literally like a little spark plug.
he is.
So,
Yeah.
um, you
Talking
know,
about spark plugs, though, I guess before we get into the interview with the snake pit or the conversation, whatever you want to call it, rosters haven't dropped. The game's Friday night. We're recording this Wednesday night, so we're expecting the rosters on Thursday. So by the time you're listening to this, you'll know what the lineup's looking like, most likely. I'm curious, are we going to see Asher this week? And I got to imagine he's on the 25 man,
yeah.
but on the 19 whenever they drop that, I think Friday morning is when they'll drop the 19 man.
Hmm.
Is Asher playing or are we rolling with Brian Kelly again?
I feel like we are going to see Asher play this weekend. At least at first. And we may see him come out and Kelly go in for a little bit.
So you
I
think they'll put four attackmen on the 19 then? Because like then who do you drop off like at midfield or something like that? I don't know.
mm, yeah,
Like I
I
hear you.
I
Like I like that. I like that idea of dressing four attackmen in
mhm,
the event that like Asher's not looking good. You can make a change at halftime, for instance. But who who do you drop off then? Because
true.
that's a coveted roster spot that you need, and you need the legs at midfield more than you need the legs at attack. So I mean, I don't know. Well, that'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend for sure. Even before this weekend, just
Yeah.
what is the roster composition? And because you also uh how many more rookies do we get to, does Logan
Hmm.
Ipps see any action? Jack Regnery, do we see him coming off a championship and get a look? Probably not. I think he's gonna get a little bit of time, I'd imagine to celebrate his third straight championship with Tufts. But
Shout out
yeah,
tough.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Shout out Roll Bows back to back to back. Uh, they got to go D1 at some point. Like they're
I
just too
know.
good. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I hope we
let's
see some change for them over the next couple years.
yeah. But all right, I think we've meandered enough here. Let's
Hey, but Wait, really quick, are we
Yeah,
are we gonna see our guy Manny out there with the team for the first time as a coach?
I certainly hope so.
I
I
hope so
certainly
too.
hope so. I mean, his high school season is done. The shout out to them too, state champs. I forget the name of the town, but I saw him posting about it on Instagram.
Hmm.
So good for him. Now Manny, hope you're in Maryland ready to chase another ring. So with that though, let's pass it over to the snake pit. Matt and Micah from the snake pit. Thanks for joining us, guys. How you doing?
Awesome. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Doing well.
Absolutely, yeah. Happy to have you guys. It's good to be talking lax as always. Big matchup this weekend. Big weekend for you guys, especially got the homecoming starting. So I guess just want to start off with a high level view here, talking about the season so far. Week one, tough loss to the Water Dogs, but then week two, you come back, great performance against New York. So kind of really a tale of two games. So how are you guys feeling about the Whipsnakes season so far?
Yeah, overall, I think I feel pretty good. It's kind of almost best case scenario for the league. Obviously, a couple of the games they would have wanted to be a little closer, but everybody ended up 1-1 as you do kind of the early season roster shuffle. Now everybody's coming back, which I think is the big, storyline for this weekend. All the rookies signing, some of the guys, playing box coming back
Yeah.
in, but everybody's at that 1-1. So, but I thought they looked good. I said I thought they looked kind of like the second best team week one. That Dogs Whips game was super competitive. Water Dogs didn't look too great against you guys the week after, so I'll take that mutes it a little bit. But then I thought defense got key guys back. They looked really good in that Atlas game, starting to come together. And then Spalina coming this weekend. Looks like Elon and Kohler just signed, so excited for the team and to see the kind of the full roster out here this weekend.
Yeah, definitely good to get the full defense back last year. I think having a core group of guys on D that's played together since 2019 is the backbone of this team. And then definitely interested to see how Spalina works in this offense. I think he'll be a great young piece, a little spark for the Rambos, the Pinnells to get another weapon in there to move around.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest thing this week. Probably not even just for the Whip Snakes. That's probably the biggest buzz of the week for the league in general. I feel is Joey Spalina did in fact sign that entry level contract. He will be suiting up for the Whips this weekend. Not, kind of wish he would wait at least until Saturday maybe to make that debut, but it seems like we are gonna get him on Friday night. So yeah, Mikey just touched on it there, but what are you guys looking to see out of Joey this weekend?
I mean, I think just to kind of be a spark in the offense. I think the first couple weeks, like a couple times, you saw the ball kind of die with Pinnell and Rambo a little bit. Been seeing that on social media and a little bit in the games. I think that was a problem last year. But to have that extra piece back there to move the ball to, if that's where he plays, maybe they have him coming out of the box. But just a little extra jump from behind X, distributor, stretch the defense a little more. They can't just sit on the crease and wait for Rambo to come around. We'll see what he provides in a settled set for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm most interested just to see on kind of what the roster combination is. Last year, moving Carroll down from midfield to attack kind of seemed to settle in the best. They kind of bumped him back up to midfield this year. And shout out to Aiden and the Tufts Jumbos. We saw him this weekend. They were down in Charlottesville, won the national championship. So that was cool to get to talk to him
Yeah,
and see the boys after the game. Yeah, just kind of seeing that combination. I think if he stays at the midfield and they can run him and Brandau, and then you've got a second line with Brad Smith and Colin Heacock, like as good a scorers as anybody in the league. Is a 2-point threat. Potts looked awesome, got 2 goals. A lot of the attention went to PD off the faceoff X, But I think just getting those like two other goals, so that's five transition goals out of your face-off unit, really opens stuff up. So I'm looking to see, as Micah said, is he going to play X? Is he going to play the wing? Is he going to come out of the box? Where do all those pieces fit together? But I think there's a lot of good sparking potential, and you can kind of go game to game and attack what matchup works best.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll definitely be interesting to see him. I think just like you said, that it feels like for so long the Whipsnakes had the same offensive unit, and you're starting to get like that new movement. It felt like it was a real change last
Yeah.
year, especially Aiden Carroll coming in. So you got a couple new joiners now, Joey Spallina, Braden Erksa. We'll see if he can do anything. Of course, another Maryland guy, so Jordan the Whips. But I thought it was interesting also just looking back through the draft, trying to remind myself of who you guys picked up. Like obviously Billy Dwan should help on defense. Probably not this week. I think he's probably still but kind of curious to hear about, so you guys picked up, I this flew right over my head on draft night, but you guys took two D mids. You got Blake Island in the third round, and then you also took Eric Kolar in the fourth round. So I'm just curious to hear how you guys felt about, taking not one but two D mids in a 32 pick draft.
I think it'll be good for him. So Puglisi retired. Mazor had
Right.
a great rookie season, but is on military duty with the Army now. So hopefully we can get him back next year. But both those guys out, and then Jake Bernhardt kind of holds down the fort. Another guy coaching up your guys' way up in Colby, in Maine. But he's kind of been like that centerpiece of those D middies. But I think he's got to be around 12, 15 years in the league now. So bringing some guys in, I think is key. Like Elon looked really good for Ohio State this year. Kohler, super excited about. He's a local guy, so he went to Urbana High School, right where we're living right now. So um, those guys just won the 4A state title, third year in a row. So local and close to my heart there, and then played at Maryland. So I think that's that. Keep the Terps line going, get a little bit of spark for the local side. But I think you can work those guys. They brought a couple other guys in, like Sunderland was on attack, but they brought a couple D middies in, and Piling and Trinkaris and this last week. So I think they got a lot of bodies. I think that's going to be the key, is who really emerges out of all these new young guys. You got like four rookies now, two drafted, two undrafted, that are all competing for those kind of two other D midi spots with Bernhardt. So who can stand out, and again, maybe game to game, just match up and style wise, they might be able to shift some of those guys around and
Yeah.
hopefully keep them on the
I'd
roster.
agree. I'd agree with that. I think it's just like a body play, get a bunch of guys in there. I think getting Spallina and Dawn in the first two rounds, like kind of set the table to be like, who's ever there that we like, we'll take. Um, we don't have Goodrich, unfortunately, or, someone like that who's a top short stick D midi. So just seeing what fits, who stands out at camp, who stands out in the practices is the key. So I don't mind the two short stick D mids and the 32.
Yeah, and I mean, especially so with you guys having the homecoming so early in the season, just getting any bodies out there. We're still in this mix and match phase of the year, especially with the season starting so much earlier. No one really knows exactly what their team is, and the fact that you guys have your homecoming now. Granted, the college seasons are done, so you would expect that this is kind of the start of when we'll get settled in, but still you don't know exactly what the team's gonna look like for the whole year. So having the homecoming, it's kind of nice. You can try out different guys because guys are going to be gassed. We were just briefly talking about it before we started recording. Your homecoming is not as bad of a back to back as it was last year. I think he had like a what was it, like a 7 o'clock Saturday night game followed by a 1 o'clock Sunday game. I think something like that. So now you've got 6 o'clock Friday, and it looks like 5:30 on Saturday. So they're actually giving you almost 24 hours to recover. But yeah, definitely will be interesting to see what Stagnita ends up putting out there for a lineup on Friday night, and how many changes he might make on Saturday as well. I mean, we even saw it with the Cannons in Rhode Island having the doubleheader, that they made a couple of changes from Friday to Saturday. Even the big one for us was Asher sitting out on Friday night. So you know, does Joey Spalina play both games, or do you try to ease him in a little bit, and the rest of the lineup as well? It's always a good thing to have extra bodies this early in the season.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of good storylines, right? There's Pinnell going for number 2 on the points record. Stags, if he gets both wins, will be number 1 alone in wins for professional coach. You got all the rookies coming in. First game, you briefly mentioned it there, but the question is Asher going to start for you guys? What's what's that lineup going to look like? There's a couple others, Chaos bringing back Hiltz and Palumbo, so like lots of good storylines there and lots of unknowns. And I'm excited to see as those rosters get dropped here tomorrow and the next day over practice on who's actually going to be in the 19 man for our game that we're talking here, but all the other 3 games as well.
That's right. Yeah. Casey, you have anything you wanna ask here? I feel like I've commandeered it so far.
I was just letting you do your thing. Um, yeah, so you mentioned PD before a few minutes ago. Um, I just want to know how you guys are feeling, what you're thinking about his performance so far. And considering that he's going to be the face-off specialist for the foreseeable future. Um, he didn't play at all last year. I think the year before that, he played one game, but then his first year, he did play in 10. He had a pretty good percentage too. How are you guys feeling about him?
I definitely like him. Watched him a lot in college. And then his first year, of course, played most of that season with Nardella out. Would obviously love Nardella. Incredible, talent at the dot. But, moving forward with PD, I think he's familiar with the team, with how they play. First hat trick since I think Tucci's a couple years ago. So that's always great to get some support scoring from there. A little juice goal. He's a crazy athlete. So having that, if you're not winning over 50% of your draws, is definitely a plus. Um, but yeah, overall, I feel good about it. I think he'll settle in a little more as the season keeps going, knowing he's the guy. So I think it'll work.
Yeah, I think having Nardella and Squires out is definitely, it's a little bit of a buzzkill coming into the season. And hopefully those guys get healthy and get back either if not this year, then the next year. But I think the positive of it was because you're not winning 70% all the time and just controlling it. I think, you know, we reevaluate a little bit and they're starting to push the ball a little bit more in transition and maybe utilize those guys. McDonald can come off the wing and score. I mentioned Potts getting his 2 goals there, maybe like the most underrated midi in the league. Could have been finalist for NLL MVP. Um, PD getting 3 there. You don't necessarily get that every game, but I think just that philosophy of, hey, we're not going to win every one of these. So the ones that we get, let's push transition. Let's see what we can get out of it. Maybe be a little more creative in the 32-second shot clock. I think it's probably more transition than we've seen since like Earhart retired. So
Yeah, I think not getting it off that 32 as well, having the guys like Rambo and Pinnell, or not, yeah, Rambo and Pinnell back there, like that's a little bit of a rush for them. Rambo and Pinnell have always been a little more hold the ball, let the play develop. You can't really do that with the 32. So it lets the offense get into a little bit more of a flow, like you said, Matt, since we're not winning 60, 70% of the draws, kind of opens up play.
Yeah, when we were in Rhode Island and he made that third goal and it was behind the back. Like that was amazing. um Aiden and I were on the sidelines down on the field, and it was just like everybody erupted.
It's like the old NBA
Um
Jam heat check.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
about to go.
Sports interaction for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that was really cool. And it's, even though he's not a canon, it is cool to see him finally be able to get a chance to showcase himself and what he brings to the table, because he's been dormant for a little too long. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what he brings. Um, Not against Tucci, but I do think that they're going to be a good matchup with each other, though.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good back and forth. I think you're going to get a game of runs where, one guy might win like 3 or 4 in a row, but they're not going to
Mhm.
win 10 in a row. I think it's going to go back and forth and get some
Right.
some swings and momentum there. So it should make it for an exciting game.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Now you guys aren't, I'm just gonna switch leagues for a hot second. Um, you guys aren't just hosting the Whips homecoming, but it's also the first WLL homecoming for Maryland Charm. That's super exciting. Is
Absolutely.
there anything that you guys are looking forward to about that this weekend? Anything that you guys might know of that's planned?
So no secret inside scoops on plans, but we're excited for, the 8:30 like prime time game. We got to see them, in the champ series the last couple seasons, meet some of the women there. And so we got some familiar faces and some new faces. So just excited to see it gel. I think the team um, is structured a little bit more for the outdoor 10 on 10 format. You've got some really good, like classic defenders that can, go and push transition. Like Kaylee Waters is as good as anybody in goal there. So I think on the defensive end, we're going to be really strong, and getting a Puzo in, getting some more time with Kennedy and Black and the Humphreys sisters playing together. I think got some chance to really open it up, and I think our kind of that feeding ability on some of the team too. Again, I think that 10 on 10, not having the 2 extra bodies in there, open up the field in this new WLL format, I think suits them well. And I'm really excited to see that in person. So obviously got to watch the All-Star game and got to watch the guard charging game last week, but seeing the 10 on 10 women's game in person, I think is going to be super cool to see that game flow.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think seeing this team in person in that 10v10 format is going to be really exciting. Sydney Black's one of my favorite lacrosse players, period. So seeing her play again is going to be really nice. Get her some more space, focusing on them goals. So that's, I think, what I'm excited for is to see the offense of the Charm kind of shine a little more than they were able to in the sixes format.
Right. Yeah, that's like that. Something that always shocked me. It was the 2 years in a row that Maryland's the only team that hasn't gone to the knockout stage in champ series. But you scroll through that roster, and I mean, you guys are loaded. Like
Yeah.
so it definitely is exciting to see kind of what's it going to look like when you put it all out there on a full 10v10 field. How do they gel together? um and yeah, it'll be pretty cool. Obviously, the crowd was terrific. I mean, Casey, you can speak more to it, but for the first ever WLL game, it was it, seeing it on TV. It seemed like it was a really awesome atmosphere, and I think that was just huge for women's lacrosse in
Hmm.
general. It'll be interesting to see what it's like in this first home game of the WLL, though. That I think everyone was probably just excited about women's lacrosse and Charlotte and Izzy in Rhode Island a couple weeks ago. So I'm curious, is it going to be more of the same of just yay women's lacrosse? This is so awesome, or is it going to feel like this is like no, the Maryland Charm are the home team here, and this is our territory, and like not that there would necessarily be like bad hostility towards California, but like I'm curious if it's just going to be more of a continuation of the exciting vibes around the WLL, or if we're going to get that true like Maryland home feel in the game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit of both, but we're obviously we view the Charm as our team, even though it's their first full game outdoor game, and hopefully it continues that way. You got this, like I said, the Sterling sisters, both Maryland grads, Abby Bosco, Maryland, Alex
Yep.
Holmes playing again now. So we got some Terrapin blood on there, and then Sydney Black, Loyola grad getting to play back at home.
Yep.
So hopefully like some of that stuff just feeds into the overall energy of the game.
Is that
Absolutely.
Jonathan in the back?
You want to come say hi, bud? Say hi.
Hi,
The, the youngest
Jonathan.
member of the snake pit. So,
He's repping.
Yes, he is.
I've always got the Maryland stuff on. It's good. He's got a full weekend of lacrosse, playing 5 games, going to 5 games over the weekend, and
Wow.
PLL,
Oh,
WLL. So full
That's a
lacrosse.
lot.
Yep, full lacrosse weekend.
busy weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typical Maryland stuff,
Yep.
That
typical
that is
Maryland weekend.
that is typical Maryland stuff right there. Yeah, but
Now really quick, is Alex confirmed to be like playing this weekend? Do we know?
She was on the roster that just got released today, so it
Okay,
looks like it. So
cool.
interesting.
cool.
Good
Yep.
for her.
Yeah,
Coming
amazing.
back
I'm excited for her to,
quick.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to say I had maybe 6 months, maybe not, if that, since they
yeah.
were
Yeah,
born.
something
So
like that. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was right around the end of the year, I
yeah,
think.
so
So
yeah, she was on
that's
the roster today. So just looking like
Cool.
she'll be playing, which would be super cool.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome. Yeah. I
But
feel like it's going to be a probably a really good turnout because there are so many connections with a lot of the players on the Charm with Maryland. They live not too far from there. They went to college there, grew up there, whatever the case might be. So I'm definitely pumped to see how that crowd shows up for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody's watching, like the morning of deciding if you want to go or not, it's free parking. There's tailgate scene at Loyola. You can be right next to the stadium. It's going to be a nice setup. So come, right, find us. We'll have a bunch of snake pit signs. Come say hi. But definitely, I'm excited about the Loyola shift. Hopkins was obviously an awesome stadium, but excited to see what the crowd's like and the setup, and hopefully, like I said, that tailgate hometown feel is there for the game as
Hmm.
well.
That's awesome.
absolutely, yeah, we'll definitely make sure to link all of that info down in the description. But just want to, I guess, dive a little bit more into, our matchup. We've talked a little bit just on high level about the team and the weekends and whatnot, but breaking down whips versus cannons. So, we split last year. We actually, so schedule interesting how it works out. We both play our matchups last year for the two homecomings. We've got the two homecomings again this year. Last year, the visiting team won both games. So we'll see. Hopefully at least the first half of that holds true this year. We'll see. But curious, just talking about the game, what do you guys feel confident about going into this matchup? What about, the whips makes you feel good about them beating the cannons, or what about the cannons you think that the whips will just be able to expose?
Mike, I'll let you start it out, and then
Sure. Um, I think last weekend seeing Boston play in those two games were very different stories.
Hmm.
Historically against Chaos, I think you guys have beat them one time, so it's like,
Yeah.
is that historical? What's going on there? But then the way just the total dismantling pretty much of the Water Dogs, uh, little scary seeing that come in. And of course, Holman, is gonna score. I feel like he always scores at least a hat trick against us. So slowing that down, I think, is a worry of mine. Um, I think though, seeing the differences between Chaos and Water Dogs, where I think we can excel is on the defensive side of the ball. Like Chaos has had, Newman and Rowlett back there together for a long time. I think us having done back there, settling the D, maybe we can keep the rookies to the outside a little bit. And then offensively, we mentioned it, everyone has probably Spalina coming in, kind of the X factor, but also question mark. Is he going to come in and be tired from a long season, a long weekend? Is he going to come in with a jump and a spark in his game and let this offense, flow around him? We'll see. But I think it'll be a good matchup here. Back and forth.
Yeah, I think, when we're talking about the face-off guys, I think that just kind of holds true across the board of this like game of runs, a back and forth. It's going to be interesting to see who plays attack on both sides and how they match up. If Asher's back there, typically that's probably done, right? Like going with the more physical body there. And how do we adjust those feeders? How do you work in the new short stick D middies to take away his game? Because he's that's the top part of his game is being able to pass and find those open guys. So are we sticking with the cutting middies, the feeders, or are we giving up, the trainer 2-pointers that kind of killed us in the Water Dogs game? The first those 3 2-pointers in the second half really were like the difference, in the game there too. So if Boston starts to get some of those, they can get on a run and sack up points quickly. If the Whipsnakes can minimize that damage, um, I think they match up fairly well there. On the other end, it's going to be interesting just to see. I think you kind of feel like with Apple and Young, Kent's almost built up that defense to kind of stop the Zed Rambo, big body, bull dodge type attack. So now as the Whips have moved into, you know, feeding, looking at Carroll or Smith or Brandow, the midfield, I think that was a good matchup for us kind of in that second game last year and being able to exploit some of that stuff on the back end. So now that, the Cans have gotten a little bit younger, a little bit different, put some quicker bodies in there and in the back end. How does that work out? I think Ramsey's out for you guys, right? In the humidity side. So, I think that becomes a question too, is just where those matchups go. And I think whoever can exploit some of those, whether it's a new body not knowing where to go or just find some of those openings, I think that's going to be the difference in the game. But I think it's going to be a game of runs.
Absolutely, yeah. And then I guess on the flip side, then Micah, you touched on it a little bit, but is there anything outside of the the shellacking that the Cannons put on the Water Dogs last time out that concerns you about this matchup?
Um, I think the two threat is definitely the two bomb is frightening. I think we have a little bit of capability to match, but I think as if we press out, that's and kill that threat, I think we'll be all right. But we don't really have a great answer to those two bombs, like Campbell coming down or something is just not stopping. I think that's like Matt mentioned, that was the difference kind of for us in the Water Dogs game. Has been the past couple seasons, I think. Definitely momentum swingers with those.
Yeah, I think just again that like good, solid, sound defense. Carroll looked great in goal against the Atlas. I think kind of keeping that mid-range shot, or even you know even taking away the twos and giving up a couple close ones. Like he made a couple of doorstep saves. He almost reminds me a little bit of like Jack and Cannon down there, where like you get all these open shots that you think are going to be put away goals, and they just like stops every one of them. So I'd rather give up a couple on the crease and a couple out at two, just with the way the teams are structured right now. It seems, even with Brad looking good, and I think he was second in the league or third in the league last year, the 2-point range, it seems to be like Colin Kershaw seems to eat all those up. So if it becomes a game of two bombs, I think that leans in the Cannons' favor. So if we can take that away, I'd much rather, go one-on-one with the keeper down low and make it that type
Mm.
of game than the two bomb back and forth style.
Absolutely, yeah. Casey, you got anything else here you want to bring up before we move on to some score predictions to wrap it up?
No, let's get into the predictions.
All
I've been
right,
wanting to ask since we started talking about the WLL.
let's do it then. Matt, Micah, who wants to go first?
Like I'll let you.
All right. I'm gonna predict overtime here. I think
Ooh,
the midfield face-off matchups are gonna be a back and forth swing, like we've mentioned a couple times. Of course, I do think the Whips are gonna take this Friday night homecoming. I think it's gonna be 16-15 in overtime.
all right.
So
Matt,
kind of similar lines. I wasn't going overtime, but I was thinking higher scoring game. So I was going to go 14-12s, Whipsnakes starting it out in a 3-3-0 Maryland weekend for us.
Casey.
Mm, I'm gonna say Cannon's gonna get there. We're gonna get our revenge. But I do think it's gonna be a pretty close game. I'd say maybe like 15-13. Neither of you said that, right?
No,
15-13.
Yeah, and I think for me, obviously, I'm gonna take the Cannons. It was interesting. I was looking back at last year's scores, just trying to see if that would give me any
Hmm.
aha moments. And so it looks like last year in Maryland, the Cannons won 13-12, and then the game in Boston, the Whips won 15-8. I feel like that game in Maryland, not just because they're in Maryland again, that feels a little more in line with how I think this game is going to go. Both teams double digits, close game. It's not going to be like it was at Harvard in August. I'll stick with the trend of a high scoring game though, and yeah, I think I'll go 14-13. So,
like yeah, we're all
but
All
going
right.
high scoring close games. So
Yeah.
be a good one to kick off the weekend.
Hmm.
absolutely makes for some good TV on your Friday night, and or if you're in Maryland, so on your in-person
Yep.
viewing experience, starting off a big weekend of lacrosse, 5 games, maybe even more if you're playing in a tournament, like some kiddos in Maryland might be doing this weekend. But Matt,
Well,
Micah, oh yeah, sorry, go
guys,
ahead, Casey.
what about the WLL? What's our prediction for that?
Oh, of course.
So like I said, I got Maryland going 3-0 for the weekend. So I got the charm. I think another high scoring game. I think that 10 on 10, spacing it out really plays into some ball movement scoring. Let's go 16. No, let's go 17-15. 17-15 high scoring charm take it.
I had that same number in mind for the charm. I think they get 17. That offense is going to shine in 10 on 10. And we'll go with the Palms getting 13. So a little bit of a gap, but still high scoring.
All right, Matt, I like what you had there. I don't have a dog in the fight in this game. The guard arm playing, so I'll throw you guys a bone and give the charm the W there on Friday night. You
Go
said 17-15.
17-15. Yep.
Yeah, so I was thinking high scoring as well. I feel like just every time I watch a women's game, it just feels so high scoring to me. So I'll go one more though on both sides to increase it there, and I'll say 18-16.
Casey.
Micah, what was your prediction?
17-13 charm.
I'm going to say 16-14 charm.
All right, there we go. So a clean sweep there for the charm. So we'll uh we'll see who is right for the men on Friday night, but looks like you can book it that the charm will get the W in their first home game, first full regular season game ever, first WL home game ever. But tune in, and if you are in Maryland, make sure to go out to Loyola and watch the games, tailgate with Matt and Micah and the rest of the Snake Pit. But guys, thanks for hopping on here. We appreciate the time as always, and good luck this weekend on Friday at 8:30 and Saturday.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all having us. It's always a good time.
Yeah, thanks for catching up. We're excited to see how the games go this weekend, and hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit of trash come Saturday morning.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And thanks again to Micah and Matt from the Snake Pit for coming on and having some fun conversations about the upcoming games this weekend for the PLL and the WLL. Great time talking with them as always, catching up and talking a little bit of trash. I'm sure we'll be doing that the rest of this week and over the weekend. How you feeling about the predictions we've made?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. It's so weird. Honestly, I like that they're moving the season. That I think that PLL lacrosse is a spring sport. As much as we joke about like the start of college season, spring sport when it's like a blizzard, like lacrosse is a spring sport. And so it's good that they're making this transition, first off. Secondly, glad that they had the bye Memorial Day weekend. Like that is sacred in college lacrosse. I think that even when, if or when the PLL is fully in um a spring season,
Hmm.
I think they should still take Memorial Day weekend off, or at the very least, like only play at like 7 p.m. on like Saturday night or something, like no overlap
Hmm.
whatsoever. Like Memorial Day is college lacrosse. Like that is college lacrosse. Don't interfere with that. It feels weird to have a bye after 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
it already felt a little weird to already be starting the PLL season early in May. And it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, PLL's back. Oh, wait, but the Cannons aren't playing. Okay, now we've got week 2. And yay, the Cannons are finally back. Oh, and we have 2 games? What? Like they're not at Harvard, but we're playing twice?
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, and now there's no lacrosse. Okay. So it's like it feel, and like obviously the rosters are all in flux. So it's like just felt really awkward these first few weeks in terms of following the game and the sport with these fits and starts. So I'm really excited just to finally get into a rhythm, or what feels more
Hmm.
like a rhythm with the season. Is just we'll play each weekend. We do have another bye week coming up in a couple weeks, though, another random league wide bye. Don't understand that one. Um, that's neither here nor
Yeah.
there, though. But at least, we're it's like, okay, now, the college season is done. This is when traditionally the PLL would have started. So finally
Hmm.
gonna feel like we're in the flow of the professional season. But as for the game itself, yeah, definitely excited to have some Cannons lacrosse Friday night. It's always fun matchup with the Whips. So should be really good. And yeah, I'm honestly pretty excited about the WLL game as well. Even though the guard aren't playing, it's pretty cool. To see, or I'm excited to see what, like I said to Matt and Michael, what does a WLL homecoming look like?
Yeah.
That'll be really cool and interesting. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's historic. And I'm so excited to get to watch it. And um yeah, not just this weekend, but throughout, the rest of the season and seasons to come.
absolutely. But yeah, so everyone, make sure to tune in Friday night, 6 p.m. I believe the game's on ESPN Plus. So watch the game there, us Canes fans, or if you are local to Maryland, or find yourself in Maryland this weekend, head out to the games. It's at Loyola this year, no longer at Homewood. And it seems like, from what I've heard, it's a much better setup for the fans. Free parking, the
Who doesn't love free
concessions,
parking?
free parking, great. The concession options I hear are supposed to be much better. The
Mhm.
seating at Loyola Stadium is better than Homewood. It's late May, not July or August, so the weather should be better as well. So
Mhm.
I mean, if you're in Maryland, I assume you're a big lacrosse guy because that's Maryland. So
What else
great
would you be?
weekend. Exactly. So great weekend of lacrosse down in Maryland. So if you are down there, head out to the game. Cheer on the Cannons, though. You can cheer for the
Yes.
Charm and the Whips on Saturday, but cheer for the Cannons on Friday night. Like I said, 6 p.m. And we'll be back next week to recap what hopefully is a Cannons W, getting to 2-1 on the season. But until then, go Cannons, go Guard.
Go Cannons, go Guard.
Boom.
Boom.